Okay, get home alive, get home bag. Last video, our main topic was water, and we integrated some of this other stuff in with water. And now we're going to talk about our headline is going to be food, and then and then we will integrate water and fire in with food under this food heading, but the main heading is food. Their first thing is, depending on the situation and the distance traveled, will depend on what you're going to eat in your situation. So if you got 5 miles to walk, you may not even open anything. May not eat at all. You may just slug a little bit of water down your neck, and that'd be it. You could get home, right? But it could be more severe. If it's more severe, then you will have to take all of that into account as you encounter that amount of severity. Now, open and eat. That's going to be your power bars, your Mars bars, your Cliff bars. Any kind of open and eat without preparation, that's what you're going to be at first. Okay? Now, if you think you're going to be 2 to 3 days, save some of those open and eats for when you're on the move. You don't want to stop and prepare anything. You just want to open it and eat it. Don't throw away the wrapper. Have a Ziploc bag to stuff all your wrappers in and keep them on you. You don't want to be leaving anything around as an indicator. Now, our options. Our options are going to be more than open and eat. Now, when we eat food, we're going to want to consume water. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind. Watch our water supply as we eat our food, because we're going to get thirsty. We need water to digest, right? Okay, so we have to consider that. Now, our options on our food could be one of two things, maybe even three things here. For instance, depending on your situation, okay? If you don't have a ton of money to spend, you may have to go a little heavier. And at the same time, it's a little less preparation, which I mean canned goods, okay? So one of your options on a budget is going to be canned goods, right? It's a little heavier, but it will feed you. Of course, make sure you have a way to open your canned goods, okay? Another option is a ration pack that does not need rehydration, meaning does not need water. Heating is an option, okay? You have to look at whether your environment is permissive or non-permissive environment, meaning that non-permissive, it is not secure for you to be caught off guard because you're busy heating up food or what have you. You need to be in a constant state of alert. That's a non-permissive environment. You're in a constant state of alert. And if there are two of you, one of you will be eating and doing whatever it is that you need to do, while the other one is standing guard. Not necessarily literally standing, but the other person is on watch while you consume your food and drink your water, and then you switch out so that that person can do the same. That's all considering the fact that you have that luxury. If you do not have that luxury that one can eat and drink and then swap out so the other can eat and drink, if you don't have that luxury of time, then one can eat and drink now and one can eat and drink in a little while, somewhere down the line. You gotta work it out, okay? But there is always someone who is alert while the other is eating and drinking, okay? Now, if it's just you, you need to find a place. Find a place to hole up somewhere, and then you can consume something, whether it's rations or what have you, rations and drink, or just rations and then drink while you walk, okay? That's an option. So, when we're talking about food, we got open and eat. We talked about canned goods, which are heavier in weight. You're taking a weight penalty, but it is cheaper. You will have the can afterwards. You need to keep the can with you in a bag. You don't leave anything laying around. Nothing for somebody to find. And then of course you have dehydrated meals, okay, in which you may want the canister stove to boil water to rehydrate your meal, right? So you got canned goods, you got dehydrated meals, and you have open and eat meals that you don't need to heat up. They're already hydrated, like an MRE style entree that's in a liquid pack. You don't need to heat it and rehydrate it. You could just open it and eat it, right? All of these things you need to consider, depending on what you think your situation is going to be. Okay, I mean, you could have more elaborate or less elaborate, depending. So, this is our food section. How long are we going to be? Or do we predict a bad situation for 2 days or 3 days, or do we predict a fairly easygoing 1 day home experience? You know, these are the things that you need to consider when you're talking about your food. Food is what keeps you on your feet. You can get your calories, right? If you are under on your calories, you're going to make less time. You're going to be less sharp mentally, because your food intake is going to be less. You're going to be hungry. You're going to get edgy, and all those sorts of things, right? So those are things that we're thinking about when we're eating food. Open and eat. We can open and eat something as we're making our way where? Home. Okay? We could do that. If we've got a hydration bladder, we can drink on the fly we can eat on the fly. If it's going to be a multi-day trek, it's going to be 2 or 3 days, then we need to consider resupply on our water, because we don't want to carry a gazillion gallons of water with us, right? We don't want to be lugging that all the time. So you're going to want to consider water filter and things like that, right? So, but when you have food involved, food takes liquid, you know, help that digestive system, right? And then you got to think about all these things, from basically opening it and throwing it down your neck to opening it up and preparing it. Okay, so if you have to open it up and preparing it, then you got to think about security. You have to think about, does it require some of my drinking water to prepare it? Is it going to require a canister stove to prepare it? These are things that you need to take into consideration. Am I in a situation where I can make a fire? Well, I would say most of the time in an urban scenario, you're not going to be able to make a fire. I mean, that is a very, it's a very vast thing to talk about fire, right? Get home alive. So it's such a vast subject, depending on urban or woodland, you know, all of these different environments, what is going on around you, is it safe, is it not safe, are there only certain times I could have a fire, can I just not have a fire at all? These are things that we need to think about, but those are things that we need to think about, because if we have a several day trek to get home and get home alive, then we may have to consider fire. So we've considered our shelter so far minimal. We've considered our water so far minimal, and to the point where we could procure more water. And now we have considered our food situation. We have to remember that we're preparing this get home alive bag for a finite period of time, depending on our situation. So it could, if we're far from home, we may have to even resupply our get home alive bag, right? But on average, in a really crap situation, we're really going to be looking at the reality of getting home within a couple of days. Okay? Getting home within a couple of days. That's probably what we're going to be looking at. Guys, we'll come back in the next video and we'll discuss some more of this stuff. See you there.